Okay, so picture this for a second.
Yeah.
You're the CEO of a mid-sized social platform. Maybe it's a dating app, maybe a niche community for hobbyists.
Right.
You're looking at your dashboard, and the numbers are they're screaming at you.
Yeah.
Your churn rate is through the roof.
And usually, when churn is that high, you think, okay, it's a product issue. But in this case, it's a culture issue.
Exactly. Your female users are leaving because they feel unsafe, harassed, or just, frankly, exhausted by the noise.
Mm-hmm.
But then your male user base, which is probably the majority of your revenue, feels like they're walking on eggshells.
Yeah.
Like one wrong joke, one awkward text, and they're banned for life.
It is the classic moderation trap. You lock the platform down too hard, you kill the engagement, you kill the fun.
And it becomes a ghost town.
Right. But if you loosen the reins, the trolls take over, the whole environment just becomes toxic, and your safety metrics tank.
It feels like this binary choice that just kills companies. You either have a safe ghost town or a crowded, toxic wasteland.
Okay.
But what if it didn't have to be binary?
That is the question of the hour.
Today on The Deep Dive, we are looking at a fascinating internal document that claims to solve this exact, almost impossible equation. We've got our hands on an internal thread archive from an organization called the Blossom Society, or TBS for short.
And this is dated just a few days ago, Wednesday, February 11th, 2026.
Right. And this is a really unique find because we're not looking at some polished press release.
No, this is the raw, messy, high-level strategy session. It's between a CEO, a COO, head of coaching, marketing director, all of them.
And they're trying to figure out how to save their platform using some very new, very specific psychological data.
Yeah, and the context here is just crucial. They're reacting to this massive piece of external research, a YouGov study that came out in October 2025.
The Young Men, Masculinity and Misogyny study.
That's the one, a real heavy hitter. It basically mapped out the modern male psyche on relationships, dating, online behavior.
And the TBS exec team is trying to do something incredibly difficult. They're trying to take these abstract statistics and turn them into code, into actual product features.
So that's really our mission today. We're going to unpack how you translate psychological nuance into an algorithm.
We're talking about things they're calling cluster-based risk models, protective friction, and something called inoculation.
Oh, that last one, inoculation, that is a total game changer. It really redefines how we think about user education.
It really does. But let's start where the document starts. The CEO kicks off the thread with a prompt that's surprisingly candid. He basically admits their current safety tools are failing.
Yeah, he says something like, we know young men are struggling. How do we stop the bad behavior without sliding into broad shaming?
He calls it the core conflict. Broad shaming alienates your user base. I mean, nobody wants to join an app that they feel hates them.
But then watered down standards compromise safety, which, kills the business from the other side.
So how do they thread that needle? Well, the answer seems to be in that YouGov data.
The CEO references a psychologist's review of the study, and it completely dismantles what they call the lazy narrative about men online.
The lazy narrative being...
Young men equals misogyny.
Right. The idea that if you're a guy under 30 online, you're, probably a threat.
And the data says that is just statistically indefensible. Instead of this monolith, the study reveals heterogeneity.
Which is the academic word for it's complicated.
Exactly. It shows there are distinct clusters of beliefs among men.
Okay, so let's break that down. What does that actually look like in the real world?
Well, it means you have this massive group of guys who are, generally decent. They might be socially awkward or confused by changing norms or just bad at texting, but they're not hostile.
Okay.
Then you have a very distinct minority cluster that is genuinely high risk.
And the mistake that platforms usually make is treating the confused guys the same way they treat the hostile guys.
Precisely. And the memo dives into why that's so dangerous from a psychological perspective. It brings up a concept called reactance.
Reactance? Wait, I remember this from behavioral econ. How does it apply here?
So reactance is that psychological resistance people feel when they think their freedom is being threatened or they're being unfairly controlled. Think of a teenager, right?
Yeah.
If a teacher says, you must sit down and shut up because you're a troublemaker, what does the kid do?
He stands up and makes noise.
Exactly. Even if he was about to sit down anyway. That's reactance. So if a user, a generally good guy, signs up for an app and is immediately hit with warnings that assume he's a predator,
his brain just goes into defense mode.
It makes him defensive. He starts performing compliance. He'll check the boxes, smile for the camera, but inside he's resentful, he feels judged.
And that resentment builds up until it bursts. The document calls it behavioral leakage.
Behavioral leakage. It's such a vivid, kind of gross term.
It is, but it's accurate, though, because he never actually bought into the culture. He just learned to jump through the hoops.
So eventually the mask slips, usually when he gets rejected or frustrated.
So the TBS team realizes they have to stop triggering this reactance. They need to completely rebrand their entry process. They talk about this single men gate.
And this is where pure marketing genius meets psychology. The marketing director chimes in and says, stop framing the safety check as probation. Frame it as prestige.
Earned trust.
Exactly. I mean, think about the difference. If I say, I need to check your background because I don't trust you, you're offended.
Right.
But if I say, this is an elite community and we need to see if you have the qualities to qualify, now you're intrigued.
It flips the script from suspect to candidate.
It appeals to the ego instead of attacking it. But, and this is so critical for you to understand, the underlying standard hasn't changed at all.
They're just packaging it differently.
To bypass that reactance trigger?
Okay, so let's talk about that standard.
Yeah.
Because the CEO is very clear that while the marketing might be soft, the rules are hard, they list 3 non-negotiables.
These are the red lines. The document is explicit. If these things show up, you're done. Number 1, sexual entitlement. Number 2, victim blaming. And number 3, dehumanization.
Dehumanization feels like the big one for me. That covers a lot of ground.
It does. In this context, it usually means viewing women not as people, but as inputs or obstacles in a game. It's that NPC mindset.
Treating potential partners like non-player characters who are just there to serve a function.
Exactly.
So, if those are the red lines, how do you actually catch them? Because we just established people will fake good behavior on a survey.
Right. You can't just ask, do you view women as objects, and expect an honest answer.
No.
And this is where the COO enters the chat with the risk stratification engine.
I have to say, that sounded less like a dating app feature and more like something from the NSA or a bank.
It's essentially a state machine, a dynamic system that sorts users into 3 tiers: low, medium, and high risk.
But the sorting hat isn't a questionnaire.
No, it's based on scenario performance.
Scenario performance. So they're testing behavior, not opinion.
Exactly. The document implies they use these simulated interactions during the onboarding process.
Like a role play.
Sort of. Imagine you're signing up, you get a scenario. You've been chatting with someone for 3 days. It's going great. You have a date planned. Then 1 hour before, she cancels with a vague excuse.
Oof. That's a real trigger point for a lot of people.
That's the whole point. And then the system asks, how do you respond? But it's not just looking at the multiple choice answer. It might look at how you type.
Oh, that's clever.
Do you choose the passive-aggressive option, the hostile one, or the resilient one? They're looking for the instinct.
And based on that, the system sorts you. So if you're low tier...
You get the standard gate, normal unlock, business as usual.
And if you fall into the medium tier...
You're in the gray zone. You aren't banned, but you get extra coaching modules, tighter limits on how many messages you can send, proactive check-ins.
And high tier...
Locked down, the document says, no messaging allowed until remediation is complete. And even then, it requires a senior human review before you send a single text.
Wow, a human review. That's incredibly labor-intensive.
It is. But think about the cost of not doing it. One high-risk user can harass 50 women in an hour, causing 10 of them to just delete the app.
The ROI on catching that one guy is massive.
Right. So instead of banning the medium-risk guys, the confused ones, they just put guardrails around them.
Surgical targeting, as the CEO put it.
You don't burn down the whole orchard because a few apples are rotten. You treat the trees.
Which leads us directly to the remediation part. If you're in that medium tier, TBS wants to train you. And this is the inoculation strategy.
This was my favorite part of the documents. The head of coaching suggests an inoculation module built right into the accreditation process.
Okay, why inoculation?
It's a medical metaphor. A vaccine works by giving you a small, manageable dose of a virus so your body learns to fight it.
So psychological inoculation does the same thing?
Yep. You introduce the toxic idea in a controlled setting, and then you give the brain the antibodies to refute it.
So instead of just shielding men from toxic content, they're teaching them how to spot it.
Exactly. And they list specific concepts they want to inoculate against. The first one is algorithm distortion.
This feels huge.
It is. They are explicitly teaching men, hey, the reason your social feed is full of rage bait and videos about how women are evil isn't reality.
It's because the algorithm knows that rage keeps you clicking.
It's media literacy 101, but weaponized for dating safety. If a user understands his worldview is being warped for ad revenue, he's less likely to act on that anger.
He gains distance from it. He can say, oh, I'm being manipulated, instead of just, oh, I'm angry.
The next concept is selection bias.
Similar idea. What you see online is the extreme 1%.
Right. Just because you see 5 videos of gold diggers doesn't mean the woman you're actually talking to is one. It's about recalibrating their baseline for reality.
And then the one I think every teenager in the world needs, rejection resilience.
This is the core skill of dating, isn't it? The module literally teaches men how to handle a no.
But how do you even teach that in an app? You can't just say, don't be sad.
You reframe the narrative. The document mentions a specific reframe they use. Attraction is not a debt.
Attraction is not a debt. Wow, that hits hard.
It directly challenges that deep-seated entitlement, the whole nice guy syndrome.
I bought dinner, I listened to her problems, therefore she owes me a chance.
The training explicitly breaks that link. It teaches that you can do everything right, be the perfect gentleman, and still not be owed anything.
But here's the problem, and the marketing director points this out right away in the thread. You can't sell this as re-education.
No man is going to click that.
You can't say, click here to fix your broken personality.
No, you have to frame it as a power-up, as an advantage.
And the branding they use is just fascinating. Phrases like strength with restraint, confidence without entitlement.
Leadership without dominance. It sounds almost stoic, doesn't it?
It does. It feels like Marcus Aurelius designed a dating app.
It's very stoic. It's pro-masculinity and pro-accountability. And they are very, very careful to avoid the term toxic masculinity.
Why is that? Is it just politics?
I think it's just practical psychology. That term has become a culture war grenade. If you use it, half your audience just puts their guard up and stops listening.
So by calling it high-performance social skills, you bypass the politics.
You get straight to the behavior. It's framing emotional regulation as an elite skill. Real men can control their impulses.
Do you have the discipline to handle rejection? That sounds a lot better than stop crying about rejection.
Infinitely better.
Okay, so we've got the risk engine sorting people and the inoculation module teaching them. But the TBS team isn't naive. They know that even with the best training, people have bad days.
Right, the leakage theory again. Someone passes the gate, takes the course, acts normal for 3 weeks, and then gets ghosted and just snaps.
This is where the COO brings out the heavy artillery. Protective friction.
In Silicon Valley, friction is a dirty word, right? You want one-click everything. Frictionless sign-up, frictionless posting.
But here the COO says no. We need post-accreditation protective friction. We need to deliberately slow the user down.
It's brilliant design. They list a few specific tools. First, rate limits.
Like on Twitter, you mean?
Similar idea, but for dating. You can only send X number of messages per hour. It just kills the spray and pray strategy where guys copy-paste, hey, beautiful, to 50 women in 10 minutes.
It forces intentionality.
Exactly. Then you have first message scaffolds.
Scaffolds?
Think of it like a template or a guided prompt. Instead of a blank text box where you can type anything, the app might say, ask her about something in her bio.
It's like bowling with the bumpers on.
It prevents that immediate low-effort harassment, but the most powerful tool, and the one I think has the most potential outside this app, is the cooldown.
This is the enforced waiting period.
Yes. If the system detects a rejection, let's say a woman unmatches you or says no thanks, the system physically prevents you from messaging anyone for a set period. 15 minutes, maybe an hour.
It literally puts you in a timeout.
It creates a gap between the trigger, which is rejection, and the reaction, which is often rage.
Psychologically, that's huge. It reminds me of the refractory period in biology.
That's exactly what it is. Anger is a physiological spike. Your heart rate goes up, cortisol spikes. If you can stop the person from typing during that spike, the anger just dissipates.
By the time the cooldown is over, the urge to send that nasty text is gone.
It saves the user from themselves.
Yeah,
and it saves the platform from toxicity.
And there's one more layer. Language trigger nudges.
These are the automated "Are you sure?" pop-ups. If you type a slur or an aggressive phrase, the system pauses the message and asks, this looks like it violates our standards. Do you really want to send this?
I've seen data on this. People actually delete the message a huge percentage of the time when they see that prompt.
It breaks the autopilot. It forces the logical part of the brain to kick in and override the emotional brain.
When we come back to the business problem, if I sign up and I can't message fast, I get put in timeouts, I get pop-up warnings.
Yeah.
Isn't that just annoying? Won't I leave?
It is annoying, and that's the marketing director's whole headache. They plan to rewrite the copy to explain this friction as standards-led membership.
Standards-led membership. Sounds
Oh.
fancy.
The line in the document is, men aren't paying to message, they are qualifying to participate.
That's that prestige play again.
Right. It reframes the friction. It's not a broken door, it's a velvet rope. It implies the reason it's hard to do things here is because quality matters here.
We protect our community, and that includes protecting you from your own worst impulses.
Ideally, yeah. And if they can pull that off, it creates a much higher value environment for everyone.
Now, TBS is a business. They have to make money. So they have a weekly dashboard to track if any of this actually works.
And the metrics they chose are really telling. It's not just revenue or daily active users. They're looking at reports per 1,000 conversations, broken down by tier.
They want to know if the medium tier guys, the ones getting the coaching, are actually behaving better.
Exactly. Then there's repeat offender rate. If a guy gets a cool down, does he learn? Or does he just do it again next week?
If he does it again, the inoculation failed.
And then the COO has this metric he calls the win condition, which is time to restriction.
Speed.
How fast can we identify a bad actor and get him out? If it takes 3 days, that's 3 days of damage. If it's 3 minutes, the damage is contained.
But the metric that really stood out to me was the women first trust signal.
Measured within the first 14 days.
They're specifically tracking if women feel safe immediately after joining.
Because in this ecosystem, women are the constrained resource. If the women don't trust the space in the first 2 weeks, they leave. And if they leave, the men leave, and the whole platform dies.
So safety isn't just a PR move here. It's the entire survival strategy of the business.
And finally, the gate completion rate. They're watching that like a hawk to make sure they're not accidentally losing the good guys who are just impatient.
So let's zoom out. We've gone from a dry government study on masculinity to a risk stratification engine with hard-coded friction, psychological inoculation, and tiered access.
It's a journey from ban the trolls to, I guess, civilize the space.
It's the shift, isn't it? The old model was reactive.
Yeah.
Wait for someone to be terrible, then ban them. This is proactive.
It's active engineering of culture. It's acknowledging that technology isn't neutral. If you build a platform that rewards speed and aggression, you're going to get aggression.
But if you build one that enforces friction and reflection, you might just get better behavior.
The core philosophy seems to be that line from the marketing director, masculinity is welcome, dominance is not.
That's the bumper sticker. And it's
Yay.
a powerful one. Which brings me to the thought I've been mulling over this whole deep dive.
Yeah.
The inoculation module. We're talking about a private company, a dating app, realizing that they have to teach their own users about algorithm distortion, rejection resilience, and self-worth just to keep their product functional.
It's pretty striking when you put it that way.
If a social platform has to teach these fundamental skills, what does that say about where we are failing elsewhere?
It says there's a massive vacuum in our education system. We teach algebra and history and coding, but we don't teach young people, especially young men, how to navigate the emotional landscape of the internet.
We hand them a supercomputer at age 12, throw them into the deep end of the algorithm, and then wonder why they drown.
And we wonder why they get radicalized or depressed or aggressive. We haven't given them the antibodies to filter out all the noise.
Exactly. And maybe, just maybe, these digital friction tools, these cooldowns and scaffolds, are the training wheels that we all actually need.
It raises a really provocative question. Could this be the future of how we civilize online interaction globally?
Imagine a cooldown on X or Twitter. Imagine first message scaffolds on Instagram comments.
The internet would be a much quieter and probably a much happier place.
It might be the only way to save the digital public square.
I think you might be right. If we can't change human nature, maybe we have to change the interface we use to express it.
Well, that is a lot to process. We've unpacked the cluster model, the power of protective friction, and the idea that attraction is not a debt.
A powerful deep dive today.
Absolutely. Thank you for walking us through the psychology of it all.
My pleasure.
And to you, the listener, thanks for diving deep with us. Think about that inoculation concept next time you're scrolling through your feed. Are you reacting to reality, or are you just reacting to the algorithm? We'll see you next time.